Have you ever stopped to think about what really powers the global auto industry? Well, a massive piece of that engine is, without a doubt, China's auto parts export sector. Today, we're going to pop the hood and look at the hard data to understand just how huge this industry is and, maybe more importantly, where it's headed next. Okay, so to really get this story right, we have to go straight to the source. Everything we're about to unpack comes directly from a major white paper put out by the data intelligence firm Toppase, working with China's top auto parts association. So this isn't guesswork, this is data straight from the factory floor. Let's just kick things off with a number that says it all. In 2025 alone, China's auto parts exports hit over $590 billion. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That is more than the entire gross domestic product of many countries. It's an absolutely staggering figure, and it really sets the stage for the scale we're dealing with.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the big picture of this export engine. Then we'll dive into the growth numbers. After that, we're going to map out where all these parts are actually going, see what's selling best, and then wrap it all up with 3 key takeaways you won't want to miss. Let's get into it. So, just how critical is this industry to China's economy? Well, the report calls it one of the 3 driving horses of the country's manufacturing exports. That puts it right up there with fully built cars and home appliances. This makes it clear. This isn't some side gig. It's a foundational pillar of their entire export strategy. All right, now for the fun part. Let's look under the hood. We saw that massive number for 2025, but what's the story behind it? The performance data really shows some serious momentum. And this chart says it all, doesn't it? Just look at that steady climb. We go from just under $500 billion in 2022, and it just keeps climbing, year after year, to that $590 billion mark in 2025. We're talking about an increase of nearly $100 billion in annual exports in just 4 years. This is not some temporary blip. It's sustained, powerful acceleration.
Okay, so we know exports are growing like crazy. But the really crucial question is, where is it all going? The global map for auto parts is literally being redrawn as we speak, and the data tells us exactly where the new hotspots are. Now, at first glance, the top markets look pretty familiar. You can see the United States is still the biggest single customer by a long shot, grabbing almost 18% of all exports. And it's followed by the usual suspects, the big automotive players like Japan and Germany. So yeah, these traditional mature markets are still the bedrock. But here, this is where the story gets really, really interesting. This chart isn't showing who buys the most, it's showing who's growing the fastest. And if you want to see the future, you follow the growth. And look who's leading the pack. Vietnam. You've also got Thailand right there in the top 3. The new energy, the real momentum, it's coming from emerging markets, especially in Southeast Asia. And this right here perfectly sums up what the report calls the industry's dual-track strategy. It's pretty brilliant, actually. It's not about abandoning the old partners for the new ones. It's about doing both. They are doubling down on their relationships with established markets while at the same time hitting the accelerator in these high-growth emerging economies. So let's shift gears and look at the components themselves. What is China actually shipping out in those containers? And what are the core strengths that allow them to do it so effectively? This table really shows you where the money is. We are not talking about small stuff here. We're talking about the heavy hitters, the real guts of the car. Body parts and accessories alone are over $100 billion. And right behind that, you've got absolutely critical systems, braking, wheels, suspension. This is the very core of what makes a vehicle a vehicle. Now, this kind of dominance doesn't just happen by accident. The white paper really drills down on this, and it points to 3 core pillars, 3 big competitive advantages that have been methodically built up over years. So, the first pillar is just raw industrial power. China has created these enormous, hyper-focused industrial clusters. We're talking about entire regions where everything and everyone is dedicated to auto parts. The report notes this concentration lets them do things like develop new molds for 40% faster than their global competitors. In the auto industry, that kind of speed is a massive advantage. The second pillar is all about resilience and control. Get this, over 90% of key components are made right there, in country. That makes their supply chain incredibly tough and less vulnerable to global problems. But they don't stop there. They've also built out this amazing network of overseas warehouses in 52 different countries, which slashes average delivery times down to an incredible 7 days. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's bring it all home. What's the driver's briefing? Let's boil this all down to the 3 most important things you need to take away from this entire analysis.
Takeaway number 1, the map is changing. Yes, the US and Europe are still huge customers, but the real story, the future of this industry's growth, is being written in the emerging markets of Southeast Asia and other developing regions. That's where the new action is.
Takeaway number 2, China's real strength comes from absolutely mastering the essentials. Its dominance is built on producing the high-value foundational parts that every single car needs, from the doors and bumpers you see to the brake systems you rely on.
And the third and final takeaway is this. None of this is luck. It is a systemic success story. It's this powerful combination of incredible industrial scale, tight supply chain control, and a growing global logistics network that creates a competitive advantage that is frankly formidable and built for the long haul. And we'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. Everything we've talked about today is the roadmap for the world of gasoline-powered cars. But with the whole auto industry stampeding toward electric and autonomous vehicles, the billion-dollar question is, how will this incredibly powerful engine retool itself for the completely new race of tomorrow? The next chapter is just getting started.